Good evening. Welcome to the VFW National Legislative Reception. My name is B.J. Lawrence. I'm the Executive Director of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, Washington, D.C. office. Right? Army strong. Whoop. I want to thank you all for coming. And without further ado, please let's give a warm welcome to the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, Commander-in-Chief Doc Schmitz from New York.
I don't know if I need a microphone or not. What do you think? Where's the president of the auxiliary? Where's Peggy at?
Over here.
Peggy, where are you?
Right here.
Come on up here with me, wherever you are. My God, you're short. He's very short. Be patient. All right, here she comes. Go, brace yourself. You right back there. You're on a team, baby. Say something to folks.
Aloha.
That's it?
Well, you said something.
Well, yeah, that'll work. Okay.
Don't we have a great commander of the VFW? Even though he is so tall, it doesn't matter to the short people how tall he is. He's a great commander, great guy. He is for one team, just like the auxiliary is. Working together makes us all better in what we do. It is a much larger force, and we can get the job done faster and better. Thank you, Doc.
Funny things happen in this place. It's Washington, D.C. Where, oh, where is my SBA wonderful red bearded guy? Where are you? Okay. Here he is, okay? I want this young man, okay? Notice the red beard, it's beautiful, isn't it? He's gonna say a few words of what actually happened with him and what he did and the results of that. It's yours, my man.
Thanks. So I was in the program last year. I wrote a proposal to help lower the veteran suicide rate by adding a mental health component to the TAP program, Transition Assistance Program. So with great help with the VFW over this last year, my legislation is going to be introduced later this month. And today we have made that bipartisan as well. So it's going to hopefully pass through the Senate with bipartisan support. And now we're just working with the House to get that support as well and pass through the House as well with the companion bill. And it was thanks to Doc as well. That's all.
Good to go.
Yeah.
All right, so my comments are, God bless America, God bless all of you, and on with the show. Thanks, my man. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Robert Wilkie was nominated by President Trump to serve as the 10th Secretary of Veterans Affairs. He was confirmed by the United States Senate on July 23, 2018, and sworn in on July 30th, 2018. Mr. Wilkie previously served as the Acting Secretary of VA from March 28th to May 29th, 2018. Before confirmation as VA Secretary, Mr. Wilkie served Secretary James Mattis as his Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness, the Principal Advisor to the Secretary and Deputy Secretary of Defense for Total Force Management as it relates to readiness. National Guard and Reserve Component Affairs, Health Affairs, Training and Personnel Requirements and Management, including equal opportunity, morale, welfare, recreation, and the quality of life for military families. The son of an Army artillery commander, Mr. Wilkie spent his youth at Fort Bragg. Today, he is a colonel in the United States Air Force Reserve, assigned to the Office of the Chief of Staff. Before joining the Air Force, he served in the United States Navy Reserve with the Joint Forces Intelligence Command, Naval Special Warfare Group 2, and the Office of Naval Intelligence. Comrades, auxiliary members, ladies and gentlemen, and special guests, please let's show a warm VFW welcome For the Secretary of the Veterans Affairs, Mr. Robert Wilkie. Secretary.
Thank you all. BJ and Doc, thank you for your kindness to me. And Senator Tester is here, my friend from Montana. There is no more vocal, no more active advocate on behalf of America's warriors than the senator from Montana. It's good to see you, sir. Today is a special day. Today is birthday. 155 years ago, not too far from where we are standing, the 16th President of the United States gave what was perhaps the most spiritual address ever given by a president, where he said that it was time to bind up the nation's wounds and to care for him who shall have borne the battle and for his widow and orphan. About a month later, before he went to Ford's Theater, he signed the charter for the first soldiers' home in Togus, Maine, the second soldiers' home in Tomah, Wisconsin, and the third soldiers' home in Dayton, Ohio. That was the birth of this VA. So what does that represent? 41 million Americans have answered the call to arms since the first shot was fired on Lexington Green. Over 1 million of our fellow citizens have given the ultimate price. The cost of freedom is seen here. And I'm looking at Bob Wallace, who served you all for so many years and bore that burden in the streets of Way in the 1960s. And the reason I mentioned Bob is because today we finally began to close the last circle left from that conflict in the 1960s and 70s by publishing the Caregivers Regulations for those who take care of our Vietnam warriors at home. It is long past time that we did that. And I will also say that the VFW has always answered the call to arms. I saw that day before yesterday in Hot Springs, South Dakota. The Hot Springs VA is a national historic landmark, and people were very concerned that in 2020, it was sort of out of place in the modern age. There were political remedies to what to do with Hot Springs. There were local activist remedies as to what to do with Hot Springs. Well, I did something profound. I sat down with the VFW leadership in western South Dakota, and we came up with a way forward to make sure that the Hot Springs VA never closes to veterans. So I thank you all very much for that. Well, let me end with a thought, two thoughts. One is, again, looking at Bob, to talk about a generation that we can never forget, and those who served in Southeast Asia. Those are the formative years of my life, watching the soldiers come home to Fort Bragg and in some cases to Fort Sill. My father being gravely wounded in the invasion of Cambodia, but I saw something as a child that was much more serious. And that was after my father recovered from his wounds and returned to the All-American Division as a senior officer, was not allowed to wear his uniform off post. The VFW is here to make sure that we never return to those days, that America never forgets those chosen few who carry the cost of freedom on their shoulders. So I'll leave you with a thought from General Eisenhower. Some of the British generals were very perturbed and actually unbelieving when they'd see the commander of the great Allied force gathering in England, walking amongst the troops at all hours of the day. That was not something that British officers did. And one of them, a field marshal, asked General Eisenhower why he did it. And Ike said, well, if you read all the military manuals produced out at Fort Leavenworth, they would tell you that the commander's job is to raise morale by walking amongst the troops. That's ass backwards. as Ike said. The commander's job is to walk amongst the troops to be inspired. And that's what the VFW does. It inspires those who are part of this veterans family to go the extra mile. But not only the extra mile for you, but the extra mile to remind Americans that they rest and sleep soundly at night because folks like you bore the incommunicable experience of war. So I thank you very much for everything that you do for this country and everything you do for the peace of the world. Thanks, Doc.
I got you, Doc. So a few days ago, Commander-in-Chief Doc Schmitz had an opportunity to sit with Secretary Wilkie, and they spoke of what the VA and the VFW could do together to continue taking care of our nation's veterans. Just two professionals sitting down and discussing those concerns that they are both passionate about. At the end of that meeting, the Commander-in-Chief said, you know, when the Secretary comes in and addresses us, I want to strengthen my commitment to him to work with the VA in taking care of our nation's veterans. And I can think of no better way to show that commitment than to make a special presentation to him on Wednesday evening. Commander?
For all those security people in the area, do not panic. I'll tell you what, it takes a lot of perspiration and dedication to do what this gentleman has done over the course of time that he's been in service. That deserves recognition from me representing the Veterans of Foreign Wars and our respected auxiliary. And on this K-bar it says, Veterans of Foreign Wars Commander-in-Chief William Doc Schmitz, dare to care. And this gentleman is guilty of that because he truly does care. So for security purposes, should I give it to you? Okay. Give that to you. Thank you.
I got the box with his staff.
This is a great honor. I have to tell you, as an airman, I feel special. But I have to also ask, Senator Tester was there at my confirmation hearing, and one of his colleagues said that my job as the VA secretary was to kick ass. And I immediately said, sir, I'm an Air Force officer. We don't use language like that. But this is very special, and I'll say this. Doc represents the bravest of the brave. Many of you know that there is no community in the armed forces of the United States that suffers greater casualties, that has been awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor in greater numbers than those corpsmen and medics who brave every danger to save our warriors on the field. So that's why this is doubly important, and I thank you, sir.
Now, please, let's once again show a warm VFW welcome to the chairman of the House Committee on Veterans Affairs, Congressman Mark Takano from California. Have my eye open for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I will be very brief. I don't have much to say, and I want to imitate and emulate the Secretary's brief remarks. Mr. Secretary, thank you. I see Senator Tester, and I don't know if anyone else I'm missing here in the room, but I want to thank Doc for his remarks today and his testimony, and I want to thank all of you again for making the journey to Washington to exercise your constitutional right to petition Congress and to stand up for America's veterans. Thank you for that. I want to let you know it is a privilege to wake up every day and do my job. People say, how can you do this job? And isn't Washington so bad? When you're chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee and you have bipartisan partners to work with you and to know that it is a mark of shame to not carry on tradition of this committee, both committees in both houses, to do what's right by Americans' veterans, to put veterans above politics, that is a very, very special place to be in Congress. I am very blessed to have the role I have in Congress, and I want you to know that in me, you have someone who is committed to carrying on that tradition. So I'm a little embarrassed to say that I got to scoot out of here because I got to get over to the Daughters of the American Revolution Hall, where Garth Brooks is playing tonight. So I got to get out of here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go into our next speaker, we have a couple of introductions. Tonight, we've also been joined with our Veterans of Foreign Wars Senior Vice Commander-in-Chief, Hal Roche. And our VFW Junior Vice Commander-in-Chief, Fritz Mahelchik, and his wife, Megan, and his dog, Mama. She's under the table. It's been a long week. We've gotten a lot accomplished, but we often forget about one person who works diligently behind the scenes for our organization. That is our VFW National Legislative Committee Chairman. This year's chairman is Ronald Rosakowitz from Connecticut. Chairman, would you like to say a few words?
BJ, I'm very proud of you for saying it correctly. That was really good. I know we practiced it for a little bit. Thank you all for coming tonight to honor a great American and someone who does an awful lot for our veterans. There we go. We'll try this one more time. Sorry about that. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight to honor someone who works very hard for our veterans in the Congress of the United States, and of course does our bidding in the Congress for what we need for our military and for our security in the United States of America, and that certainly is Senator Tester. We appreciate him very much, and no one is more rewarding of that congressional honor than he is this year. So we're happy to have you here, Senator. Let me thank all of you who are aides to our congressmen and senators who receive us, the members of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and the ladies, and our auxiliary, when your representatives are not available. I cleaned it up, yes, you're right, are not available. And you take our message that we need to impart on them for what we need for our veterans, and we appreciate all of you doing that so much. So thank you, too, for being here. For those of you who were working on the Hill for the last 3 days, thank you, thank you, thank you for what you did to bring the mission and the message of the Veterans of Foreign Wars to our legislators, to tell them that we are in this to make sure that every single veteran that goes and fights any war that America sends them to, when they come back, they will receive competent, compassionate medical health care in a VA facility in the United States of America for what they did. We've got a lot more to do, though. The mission isn't completely over. Just as we fought for the Second World War veterans and the Korean veterans and the Vietnam veterans, now we're fighting for more veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan, and on it goes. So the fat lady has not yet sung, and in all honesty, I don't think she will ever sing. So we need to go back to our departments, to keep that relationship with our congressmen and senators, and continue that so that they know that the Veterans of Foreign Wars and its auxiliary is there to keep them in tow to do what's right for veterans. Thank you again for coming this year. Thank you so much for the newies that came, the first attendees, not offenders. They might say you're an offender, but we don't say you are. God bless you all and have a safe and happy trip home. Thank you.
Thank you. If I could have your attention, please, we're going to begin our special awards presentation. Comrade Adjutant General, please join me at the dais. It is now my honor and privilege to introduce the recipient of this year's VFW Beyond the Call Award for the Citizenship Division, the Honorable Lee Zeldin of New York's 1st Congressional District. The Congressman grew up in Suffolk County, New York, where he graduated from William Floyd High School in Majestic Beach. Congressman Zeldin graduated from the State University of New York at Albany and then Albany Law School, becoming New York's youngest attorney at the time at the age of 23. After completing the Army ROTC program, Lee served for 4 years on active duty. During that time, he served in different capacities, including as a military intelligence officer, prosecutor, and military magistrate. While assigned to the Army's elite 82nd Airborne Division in the summer of 2006, Zeldin was deployed to Tikrit, Iraq, with an infantry battalion of fellow paratroopers in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Following his service on active duty in 2007, he transitioned from active duty to the Army Reserves, where he was recently promoted to Lieutenant Colonel. Congressman Zeldin was elected to the New York State Senate in 2010, representing New York's 3rd Senate District. He created the Private First Class Joseph Dwyer Program, a peer-to-peer counseling program for veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury. The program started in Suffolk County and quickly expanded across the state. In 2014, following 4 years in the state Senate, Congressman Zeldin was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, representing New York's 1st Congressional District. Lee resides in his hometown of Shirley, New York, with his wife Diana and their twin daughters, Michaela and Ardiana. This award is extremely important to us because it recognizes an individual that exemplifies, through work, actions, and perseverance, the best attributes of patriotism, citizenship, and extraordinary involvement in everyday American life. Please join me in welcoming the recipient of the 2020 VFW Beyond the Call Award in the Citizenship Division, Congressman Lee Zeldin.
Beyond the Call Citizenship Division and citation awarded to the Honorable Lee Zeldin, U.S. House of Representatives, New York. In recognition and grateful appreciation for his work as a devoted public servant who completed the Army ROTC program and served 4 years on active duty. He is currently serving as a sitting congressman and a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army Reserves. Congressman Zeldin is an outstanding example of a loyal, patriotic, and public servant who prides himself on service before self. In witness thereof, we have hereunto set our hands and the official seal of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States this 4th day of March 2020, approved by the National Council of Administration, signed by William Doc Schmitz, Commander-in-Chief, and Kevin Jones, Adjutant General.
Joe, come on up here. Come on. Come on up here. You're right over here next to him.
Thank you to the Commander-in-Chief, Doc, BJ, some people from back home, Joe Cognatori, Dave Rogers, my county commander, everyone here from New York, and of course having Secretary Wilkie here, who's doing an amazing job as our Secretary of Veterans Affairs. I've seen some of my colleagues from the House as well, and as I sit here, and this is such a huge honor to get this award from the Veterans of Foreign Wars. We go to a lot of events as members of Congress. We talk to a lot of different groups about different issues. A lot of times we're going to groups where the people are really passionate about an issue that might be new for us, that maybe we're not as passionate as they are, and then they get us fired up to work with them on something that they care deeply about. But this is special. I remember the first time that I put on my uniform, and I would not have served in the United States Army, in the United States military, if not for all of you. It was a challenge for me to try to fill those huge shoes that you left behind with legendary service spanning decades, generations. People who served during peacetime and wartime for that flag, for our Constitution, our freedoms, our liberties. You were willing to die for not just family and friends back home, but for strangers because you loved this country. And I remember that first time I looked in the mirror and I thought of each and every one of you, and there are a lot of new faces in here, but trust me, I was thinking about each and every one of you, everyone who served before me, and that challenge is there now for that next generation. Just think, someone's deployed right now who was months old on September 11th, 2001. All they've known, I mean, for us in this room, there was our life before September 11th, 2001, and then there was our life after September 11th, 2001. But for those who are there right now willing to lay down their lives for all of us, trying to fill the big shoes of all of you of that next generation, that's all they've known. They knew what they were signing up for, and they love this country just as much as you do. And for them, as we all gather here in the comfort of being in great company, with great friends, and great food, hamburgers, I didn't get over there yet. The hamburgers were good. As we gather in a great company here, we think about them right now because every day more men and women are turning into veterans, and we need to let them know, just as was mentioned before me, that they need to know that when they return home, that they are returning home to a country that is going to treat them with love, dignity, and support that they deserve on behalf of a very grateful nation. We heard from Chairman Takano. You're about to hear from Senator Tester. This is a bipartisan issue. Republicans and Democrats, House, Senate, conservatives, moderates, liberals, it doesn't matter where you come from. This flag, our Constitution, everything that makes our country great is worth fighting for, and any member of Congress who isn't going to give it their all to fight for what you care about with all of their passion and with all of their heart needs to get their butts out of Congress, because all of you gave them the freedom and the ability to serve there in the first place. So thank you for protecting our country, giving the ability to serve in the military, staying active in the VFW, and keeping this country, continuing to this very day, safe, secure, and free. Thank you so much.
It is now my honor and privilege to introduce the recipient of this year's VFW Lima Charlie Award for the Entertainment Division, Air Force Technical Sergeant Nailani Quinteo. Nailani is the youngest airman to achieve the rank of Technical Sergeant and is a vocalist and marketing manager with Max Impact, the United States Air Force Band in Washington, D.C. Prior to joining the Air Force, she was a contestant on the popular television show American Idol, where she was sure to advance to the top 48 in Hollywood. However, before she could complete the competition, she withdrew from the show to serve her country. Nalani has been a featured vocalist for various Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, National Football League, and NASCAR sporting events. During her Air Force career, she has performed in several broadcast events, including Hallmark's 4th of July at the White House presentation and America's Veterans, a musical tribute on PBS. Quinteo co-wrote Max Impact's original song, American Airman, which was awarded first place in the Air Force Media Competition in the Outstanding Popular Song category and was viewed online by millions of viewers worldwide. In 2016, she deployed with Max Impact as part of Operation Inherent Resolve and Resolute Support. This award is extremely important to us because it recognizes an individual, group, company, or organization for outstanding work using a communication channel disseminating information supporting, promoting, and advocating a greater understanding of our military, veterans, and/or the undying principles of our American way of life. Please join me in welcoming the recipient of the 2020 VFW Lima Charlie Award in the Entertainment Division, Air Force Technical Sergeant Nalani Quinteo.
Lima Charlie, Loud and Clear Award, Entertainment Division, and citation awarded to Air Force Technical Sergeant Delaney Quintano, Max Impact lead singer. In recognition and grateful appreciation for her outstanding military service and patriotism through music as the lead singer of Max Impact, an Air Force 6-member rock band. At 19, Delaney became the youngest technical sergeant in the United States Air Force. Her selflessness was apparent when she convinced American Idol producers to release her from her contract, which she had signed because she had gone far enough in the audition process to warrant an agreement. Now she regularly performs at our nation's capital, the Air Force Memorial, and the National Harbor. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands in the official seal of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, this 4th day of March 2020, approved by the National Council of Administration, signed William Doc Schmidt, Commander-in-Chief, Kevin Jones, Adjutant General.
Anyone who wears jump rings is okay with me. Want to say something? Or sing. You want to sing?
I can do both.
Yeah,
I
let's do
actually.
it. You want to hear her sing? Yeah.
I'm not that tall. Here we go. Short people problems. Here we go. I actually took some notes just in case I was going to be able to talk. So, first of all, wow, I can't even believe I'm here. When I first started singing at 12 years old, I did several volunteer performances for the VFW in my hometown of Orange Park, Florida, and learned early on how much of a positive impact this organization makes on behalf of all U.S. military veterans. Thank you all so much for your service and what you have done for this great nation. I'm beyond honored to be recognized amongst so many deserving people. I would not be here today without my loving family, so I'd like to thank my sister, who is also proudly serving in the Air Force, stationed at Nellis Air Force Base. My mom and my dad, who is retired Army, for their unconditional love and support. Also, shout out to my brothers of Max Impact for always bringing out the best in me, musically and professionally. And thank you to whoever nominated me for the Lima Charlie Award. I was told that you might be in the audience tonight, so I'm very appreciative of you as well. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for this prestigious honor. I'm humbled and just incredibly grateful and hope to make the VFW proud by continuing a legacy of so many brave servicemen and women that have paved the way for us. So I actually wasn't expecting to do this tonight, but it's just been such an incredible night and such an honor to be here standing in front of you all. So I just wanted to dedicate this song to you all for your incredible service to this great nation. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Good girl, got the tears away on it.
We will now give everyone 1 minute to catch your breath after that. To the audience, just so you know, that was not part of our program tonight. We had a conversation in the lobby and she agreed to bless us with her wonderful voice. Thank you. Thank you so much. It is now my honor and privilege to introduce the recipient of the 2020 VFW Congressional Award, the Honorable Jon Tester of Montana. The senator is a third-generation Montana farmer, a proud grandfather, and a former school teacher who has deep roots in hard work, responsibility, and accountability. Senator Tester and his wife Charla still farm the same land near the town of Big Sandy, Montana, that was homesteaded by Jon's grandparents in 1912. Jon's parents believed public education and family agriculture are the cornerstones of democracy, and those values had a tremendous role in shaping his leadership. After earning a degree in music from the College of Great Falls, Jon took over the Tester farm in 1978 and then went on to eventually be elected to the Big Sandy School Board. Fired up by the Montana legislators' decision to deregulate Montana's power industry, which resulted in higher power costs, Jon ran for and was elected to the Montana Senate in 1998. In 2005, Jon's colleagues chose him to serve as Montana's Senate President. The people of Montana then elected him to the United States Senate in 2006. They voted to send him back in 2012 and again in 2018. Senator Tester believes in holding himself accountable to the highest standards possible, and he has improved transparency at all levels of government. In fact, he was the first senator to post his daily public schedule online. In the U.S. Senate, Senator Tester is an outspoken voice for rural America. He is an advocate for small businesses and has hosted numerous small business opportunity workshops across Montana to serve thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs. He is a champion of responsible energy development, sportsmen's issues, clean air and water, Indian nations, women's access to care, and quality health care for all of America's veterans no matter where they may live. The VFW Congressional Award has been presented annually since 1964 to one sitting member of the House or Senate for significant legislative contributions on behalf of those who have worn the uniform. This award is extremely important to us because it recognizes that our military, our veterans, and our families of past and present have a champion in our corner of Capitol Hill. Please join me in welcoming the recipient of the 2020 VFW Congressional Award. Let's give a warm applause for Senator Jon Tester.
Congressional Award and citation awarded to the Honorable Jon Tester, United States Senate, Montana, in recognition and grateful appreciation for his work as a Veterans Champion in Congress, who as ranking member of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee was instrumental in securing passage of a multitude of Veterans of Foreign Wars legislative priorities, including modernizing the VA appeals process, refining the post-9/11 GI Bill, significantly improving VA health care with the Mission Act, eliminating the widow's tax, and ensuring thousands of Vietnam veterans are provided the health care and compensation benefits they deserve with the Blue Water Navy Act. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and the official seal of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States this 4th day of March, approved by the National Council of Administration, signed by William Doc Schmitz, Commander-in-Chief, Kevin Jones, Adjutant General.
Thank you very much, and I'm flattered, honored, and humbled by the award. I want to start out by recognizing a few people as they did me. I want to recognize the Secretary. It is a pleasure to work with you. It's good to have good discussions about what needs to be done, and I'm just going to tell you we're very fortunate to have Secretary Wilkie in the position of Secretary of the VA. I also want to recognize my folks from Montana that are here. You guys, yes, they are so critically important. When I'm talking to veterans about rural health care issues, these guys and ladies stand up front and do it. And to the leadership of the VFW, I just want to say thank you very much. It's good. You know, I didn't know exactly what I was going to say when I got up here, so I'm going to step back a few years to 1969 through 1974. As you might have heard in my resume, I've got a Bachelor of Science in Music, and you did a pretty damn good job, I'll tell you that. And only I wished I could sing that well. But I will tell you that one of the things that happened to me as I started playing trumpet as a 5th grader is in the 7th grade I got tapped for the highest honor a trumpeter could get in Big Sandy, Montana, and it was a very high honor, and I think it's a high honor no matter what town you live in, and that's to be VFW bugler. I got to stand and talk with veterans from World War I, World War II. I remember all those guys. They're all gone now, but one of them, Lindy Ray's the only one that's still alive, World War II vet. And they talked about war, and they talked about the fact that in that moment in time, Vietnam was cooking pretty well, and talked about, quite frankly, they talked about the horrors of war and the fact that it's a tough business. It's a real tough business, and what you go through changes your life and changes it forever. And it's ironic that I was put in that position to hear those stories of those veterans who served in World War II and Korean War mostly. Because then I come back here and I get fortunate enough in life where I get elected to the United States Senate, and we get to hear folks when I first got elected and first got appointed to the VA committee and had a town hall meeting, a veteran stand up from in the back of the room and point at me and look me right in the eye and say, "You will not treat this generation of veterans like you treated ours." He was a Vietnam vet. And I will tell you, those words have stuck with me every day that I've served in the United States Senate and on the Veterans Affairs Committee. Because the truth is, we have an all-volunteer military. And if we don't live up to the promises that we make our fighting men and women in this country, how long do you think that's going to last? The truth is young people are paying attention to what we do in Washington, D.C. every day. And if we don't take care and fulfill the promises that we've made to veterans, both men and women in this country, then we're not doing our job. And so I just want to say thank you. I also want to recognize my good friend John Bozeman from Arkansas. We've worked on a number of pieces of legislation. He's an incredible leader in the Veterans Affairs Committee. And I want to say thank you, John, for everything you've done. In the meantime, I'm just going to tell you the fight's not over. We got a lot of stuff to do. We're all on the same team, so we need to communicate well, and just God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America.
It is now my honor and privilege to introduce the recipient of this year's VFW Lima Charlie Award in the Influencer Division, Kate Mannion. Leaving in the midst of completing her college degree with one semester remaining to become one of the few and proud, a United States Marine. Miss Mannion, a Purple Heart recipient, was injured during her deployment to Marja, Afghanistan in 2010. After completing her Marine Corps career and wanting to pursue her love for comedy, she worked at the nationally acclaimed Daily Show on Comedy Central. Kate's love of writing led her to Barstool Sports, where they wanted her to join the military podcast Zero Blog 30. She started out doing social media for the podcast to get her foot in the door. Now she co-hosts Zero Blog 30 with Chaps, another Marine, and Cons, a former Army officer. Kate prides herself on the fact that while not serving in uniform, she still serves by using her talents with the pen and on the microphone for her many readers and listeners. This award is extremely important to us because it recognizes an individual, group, company, or organization for outstanding work using a communication channel, disseminating information, supporting, promoting, and advocating a greater understanding of our military, veterans, and/or the undying principles of our American way of life. Please join me in welcoming the recipient of the 2020 VFW Lima Charlie Award for the Influencer Division, Kate Mannion.
Lima Charlie Loud and Clear Award, Influencer Division, and citation awarded to Kate Mannion, Zero Blog 30. In recognition and grateful appreciation for her unbiased media reporting in nationally acclaimed podcast, Zero Blog 30, that is widely popular for focusing on current events, military history, military and veterans issues, and the importance of understanding mental and behavioral health concerns. The podcast and its host are all Iraqi and Afghanistan war veterans who use their platform to connect with a broad audience and show the lighter side of being a veteran. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and the official seal of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, this 4th day of March, 2020, approved by the National Council of Administration, signed William Doc Schmidt, Commander-in-Chief, Kevin Jones, Adjutant General.
Well, I can't sing at all, but I do a mean jazz hands for whatever that's worth. I don't know, so take a good look. Solid jazz hands over here. Marines and jazz hands, peanut butter and jelly, right? That's a given. I do have to clarify, so thankful to whoever wrote that beautiful write-up. I am not a Purple Heart recipient, but I will still accept all your free drinks at the bar afterwards. I'll still take them all, so please send them my way. I also want to give a huge shout out to all the women in the room. There's so many incredible veterans and service members and people out there who inspire me, but one of the biggest reasons that I feel so confident to keep my shoulders back and be proud of my service when you don't always feel welcome as a woman veteran was the other women around me, the women who came before me in service, and just women out there who are doing amazing things. And I see a ton of them in the room tonight, and it makes me stand a little bit taller. So very, very grateful to all the amazing women out there. And also to Chaps, my co-host who started the Zero Block 30 podcast. He is the one with the Purple Heart that I have stolen from him this evening. So he will also be accepting free drinks this evening. But after I got out of the Marine Corps, I was a little bit lost, wasn't quite sure what to do. And I found myself working where the 76ers play in Philadelphia, doing concessions. And there's nothing worse than a Philadelphian who feels like they've been shorted on their cheese cup. So I was kind of in a tough spot, didn't know what to do. And Chaps found me. He knew that I was a fellow Marine. He knew that I was lost, and he took me under his wing. And now I have the job of my dreams. I'm doing what I love. And one of the best parts is that I get to share my military experience. And there is difficult things, but one of the best things about Zero Block 30 is that we get to share all the funny and wonderful things about it. The friendship, one of our favorite topics that we asked our listeners the other week, what smell reminds you most of the military? And the answers that we got. I can't even say some of them since there's some Air Force officers in the room, so I'm sorry. But that to me is the best part of service, is the connections and the friendships that you make. And I think that's one of the best things about the VFW as well. I look around the room and I see people who are clearly so close to one another and who lift each other up. And we give people a place to do that through their headphones. The VFW gives people a place to do that physically. And I think that is so important. And I hope that our podcast, we can talk more about it and get people more excited too to do both. So we are accepting sponsorships, VFW. We will take, but thank you so much. It's truly an honor, and I hope everybody has a wonderful night. Thank you so much. It's an honor. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes tonight's awards program. On behalf of our Commander-in-Chief, Doc Schmitz, and all the leadership team, we want to thank each and every one of you for coming out. May God bless each and every one of you. May God bless our troops serving in harm's way, and may God continue to bless our United States of America. Thank you and good night.